In a flashback, Lori and Shane watches Atlanta is bombed. Back at the farm, Maggie blows off Glenn while Rick and Shane look for Sophia. Shane says he thinks she's dead and they should move on. Rick thinks she's alive and won't give up on her. On Daryl's Sophia search, he finds her doll. Soon after, a snake spooks his horse and Daryl gets thrown off, falling down a steep hill into a creek. He lands on one of his arrows piercing his side. He tries to make his way back up the hill and falls again. Glenn tells Lori he knows she's pregnant and learns that Rick doesn't know yet. No one does. Lori asks Glenn to keep it a secret. Daryl hallucinates Merle and he ends up being a walker at Daryl's feet. Barely manages to kill it and another one, pulling out the arrow for the second kill. He makes his way up the hill and hallucinates Merle some more. Herschel asks Maggie about Glenn. She says he's just a friend. Andrea takes watch instead of Dale as Glenn talks to Dale about Maggie. Daryl makes it back and Andrea shoots him thinking he's a walker. Luckily, she only grazed him. Herschel patches Daryl up, and at dinner, Maggie passes Glenn a note asking to meet. Glenn passes one back saying to meet in the barn. Carol checks on Daryl and brings him dinner, telling him he did more for Sophia today than Ed ever did. Later that night, Glenn goes to the barn to meet Maggie and finds it full of walkers. The walkers push on the barn door as we cut to black. Yeah, this episode's pretty good. It's not one of my favorites, but there's a lot of things I do like about it. I really like Daryl on his search for Sophia and his hallucinations of Merle. I think all of those scenes are probably the best in the episode. Glenn finding the walkers in the barn, that's a phenomenal scene. And Andrea accidentally shooting Daryl. There's a couple good conversations as well, like Rick and Shane in the woods talking about Sophia, Dale and Glenn in the RV talking about Maggie. I give this one a solid 8.3 out of 10. A couple fun scenes and some good conversations. I love the further character development between Rick and Shane, and I love Maggie and Glenn's relationship growing further, and Daryl on his search for Sophia in the woods with the Merle hallucinations. That is Chupacabra.